Hi everybody! Welcome back to another episode of Tekka Campus. I wanted to introduce you guys to the one and only creator of Tekka, the creator of Mastery OS, a student of Mastery himself, the one and only Daniel Hanks. So I have to admit, I'm having a very hard time making videos. I feel like there's this level of disorganization gets in the way. This level of shame or self-doubt, all of the things I've mentioned in the prior videos, just because I've mentioned it as a lesson and something that you can hopefully gain value in, doesn't mean that I've integrated it into my life or certain areas of my life. But that does not mean that it's not true. Like, I'm learning all of the things that I'm sharing, and I found value in them in some way. I wouldn't just share something to pretend to be a master or pretend that I have everything figured out, but I also wouldn't share something that I don't believe in. And so I'm walking this gray area of what I'm supposed to be doing, and yeah, it's really hard. I've clicked record like probably 12 times in this room, and I felt a little frustrated with myself because my daughter and my fiance drove to go get groceries, and this was my opportunity to have solitude today and to get this done. And then I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I can't do it. It doesn't really feel natural, like following some sort of script and or some like itinerary. What feels natural to me is this, just being real. And I can have some general insight or like guidelines, but when I try to sit and teach and I approach it from a way of like, I'm gonna tell you how to do this, I just feel like there's this level of frustration or annoyance with myself or what I'm doing. And then I'm missing out on my opportunity to be present with my life or to be productive. And my intention with this channel, I need to come back to that because when I'm in these states of confusion or frustration or all of these hindrances, basically, I need to get clear on what it is I'm doing and why. And with that, it gives me the energy to move forward in an intentional, like authentic way. And so when I think about what I'm doing here, it's not to be a creator, to get followers, to be more of a creator, even though that is an important aspect of creating. That's not why I'm doing it. Why I'm doing it is because I'm curious of the things I'm learning and the things that I'm developing in my life. I'm curious that if I can document it and teach it, that I will hold myself accountable to bringing things all the way. I will be able to track and have this like record of where I was at, what I was thinking, what I was doing, what my approaches were. And then the cherry on top, which is kind of like the master plan, like the beautiful gift that would be realized from this, is hopefully it helps others. And that's basically why I'm doing it. And if it helps me make money or make an impact, great and great. But if it doesn't, if it helps me grow, and if it holds me accountable, and if it documents my life, that helps me make money and helps make an impact. I don't need to necessarily make money from my audience or from YouTube. That honestly hasn't really crossed my mind. I might tell you like, go download Mastery OS, but I don't really care. Like, yeah, eventually that would be cool, but I've made plenty of money this month. I don't need that. I don't need it. I would appreciate any money I can get if it comes through like viable, conscientious ways. like I feel like I'm bringing value to the world and I'm getting value back, I'll take all the money I can get in that way. But I'm not a starving artist, thankfully. I was. I have been. But that's not why I'm doing this. I don't need to sell something specifically. One approach that I've been feeling called to take is this. I wrote this in the sauna today. My YouTube channel is a series of insights, contemplations, lessons, and revelations, sharing my life experiences, realizations, projects, findings, and processes as I build and develop myself and live life. The project is the self. It is through the process of sharing authentically, organically, and candidly, the content refinement and the channel identity will naturally realize itself. We begin to learn when we hear something, see something, hear and see it continually, write it down, return to it day after day. When we write it down, when we practice it enough to develop a sense of familiarity and experience it, and of course, when we share and teach it. We've all heard these various phrases referring to this process of learning. When you write it down, it's easier to remember. And when you do it yourself, it's easier to remember. When you teach it, it's easier to remember, etc. So it's important to not overlook this progression. I have found that implementing this in my own life has been the breakthrough that I needed. The system I use has helped me exponentially, Mastery OS, because now I have a place to put it next to all the other things I need to place near it. I can return and develop, so each idea is fluid and evolutional. Part of the reason I make this channel is because I need to share and teach it to truly implement it into my own life at the level that I want it ingrained in my life. All the while I see optimization, I also seek balance, presence, and stillness. This seems to be a continual revisitation and re-remembering, but I'm making progress. I'm quicker to catch myself in my flaws, vices, and unsupportive habits. I think I used voice note, so I wrote it wrong, but I more quickly recover from a state of react. Whether I stop myself before or quickly backtrack, I found a profound benefit to my life through this understanding. I realize that if I'm properly able to teach, I'll be properly able to learn. And so the best way for me to effectively and efficiently develop this channel as I develop myself and my life's work is to document this true, authentic experience. So bear with me. My intention is not to be the most cinematic or well-refined. My intention is to develop and document my life and life's work while improving my skills along the way. So the idea here, just like me reading this voice note I took in the sauna, it's not to be the most picturesque, perfect experience when you watch. I want to get there, but I'm also busy. I spent 2 hours watching my kid today. I gotta go to breakfast and lunch and dinner. I gotta move rooms. I gotta move Airbnbs. I gotta do calls. I gotta work. I gotta make proposals. I gotta manage teams. I gotta organize my systems. I gotta work out. I gotta take care of myself. And so making videos is this extension that I have to refine over time, but I'm using it as a medium to share and connect with you, the viewer, and also to hold myself accountable to documenting and refining. So I don't know if it's entertaining or useful, but it's me. That's my point. So when I sit here and I click play and then I'm like, hi, today I wanted to talk about the best way to learn. Here's my 5-step, and then I stop myself halfway through and I'm just like, but sometimes I don't know how to learn. So why am I teaching this? And I don't know all of the context of the viewer, and sometimes the context is different from myself, and I'm not able to capture the whole experience. And so then I stop myself because I'm trying to
be true to myself. But then, yeah, here I am, clicking play for the 13th time. At that point, I was just like, screw it, I'm just gonna be real. So here I am, trying to be real. Something that I wanted to do to basically bring that monologue to life of why I'm doing it is sharing you and sharing with you through the documentation of my development. And so one thing that I've been dealing with is, over the last 5 years, I've had back pain. And as I've slowly receded that pain and gotten to the point where now I don't even identify with the pain. I used to constantly be going like this, and I'd just be in so much pain. I'd be like, oh. And I couldn't sit still. I couldn't be present with people. I'm going to move this up because I'm going to sit in a new position. I couldn't be present with people, and I felt like I was reacting to people because I was simply in pain. And I felt like the things I was building, even though I was relatively successful, I had a lot of things and a lot of resources and team members and employees and money and cars and big house. Like, I had all the things, but I was burnt out, which was exacerbating the pain. And then I was, seeing from a perspective that if I didn't have pain, imagine what I could create, because I have pain right now. What I didn't think when I would ponder that from that perspective was, you have pain. Some of this pain is accrued because of how you're approaching the way of accruing all of this stuff. So like, you're getting all this stuff, but then you have so much stress to get it and to maintain it. When you have a ton of employees and a ton of friends, and you're giving and hiring and buying and consuming, you're just creating all these different intersections for accidents to occur and for assumptions to be all too common. I thought you were going to do this, and you did it, and then that just leads to conflict. And so then I got to a point where I pretty much had no money, and then no friends all of a sudden. Hey, where did everyone go? Oh, they wanted the money. They wanted the facade. They wanted the ease. They wanted the resources and the excitement and the flash, the Great Gatsby sort of experience. But I had my fiance, and we got pregnant. So it put me into a new state of mind, which was really great. But there was moments of anger and frustration with the world. And then a few people started to trickle back into my life, and it's been a lot more beautiful and deep and balanced. So anyways, I had back pain. And then I started to call myself out on where I was allowing myself to be overly stressed, where I was allowing myself to be upholding bad postures, where I was lacking core strength, why I wasn't doing my workouts, laziness. All these factors were starting to unravel. I was like unwinding the cords of the Nintendo 64 controllers, and just never ended. And it's just random, everything, just big blob of stuff. And then as I would unwind it and unwind it and unwind it, reluctantly, desperately, consistently, and truly get to the bottom of it, I eventually got to the point where I'm like, I don't have any back pain. Oh, but it's because I don't have as much stress. It's because I'm taking time to move my body. It's because I'm trying to uphold better practices of posture and core strength, and that's what's unraveling these Nintendo 64 controller cords. And now I got to the point where I could feel that the root of it is kind of like my final boss. And the root of it is basically like the core gut, like psoas diaphragm, and that's basically the nervous system behind that. So there's like the vagus nerve that goes in and it connects to all your vital organs, communicates to your body to relax. So that's basically like the body of the nervous system. And then I'll sit up so you can kind of see. So then when you're not breathing and you're stressed or you're carrying trauma, this whole area can get tight. And I noticed that happened right before my back pain started. I noticed like a grip, like a tightness here. And so then I started working through it with massage and body work and core and all that stuff. And then I eventually got to the point where it's just this one lingering pesky area here. And it just feels tighter than the other side. And the other side feels weaker than this side. And for a while I was like scared it was some like tumor or some like scary thing. But I realized that when I stretch it and move it, it goes away in certain ways. I can't force it. I have to be very calm and delicate with it. But it's this like grip that's connected to the psoas and the diaphragm. And there's fascial adhesion that connects to the maybe like the organs and core area, not abdominal area. So I'm not like a expert by any means, but I've done enough research and met with different healers and experts and doctors and stuff. So one of the terms, I think it's a few different things, but one of the terms is diaphragmic crus or crus, C-R-U-S. And basically like when the nervous system is off and the mind, like brain gut connection is off, and your diaphragm is bigger on the right side than the left, and then it starts to grip over here and the psoas and all that stuff just connects. Anyways, you can look it up and learn way more about it than I can teach. But I'm just starting to like unravel that. And when I'm able to bring it out of this like vague, I don't want to face it territory or desperation, and move towards this understanding of it, and I can see what it is, and I can return to it and learn about it and hear it and revisit it, the learning starts to occur, and then the realization of the outcome of knowledge and wisdom and experience is born from that. So like I'm learning what it is. I'm choosing to learn what it is. I'm committing to healing it and balancing my body and reaching that next layer, and to finally unravel the cords once and for all. And so I utilize Mastery OS to do this. So basically I go into the wellness library, I create a new facet of wellness, and I title that Diaphragmic Crus. And then I work with GPT to create like a full repo of like, here's what it is, here's why it is, here's all the interconnected things that it could be and could connect to, here's some practices, here's what not to do, here's your timeline, and here's kind of like a recap. And then that can go inside of that facet. And then now when I'm working in my journal, I can tag in my template that every day I work on Diaphragmic Crus. I think it's Crus. But so then I can add it also into my habit tracker as a new line item. So every day it's like, did you do your diaphragmic release? Did you work on this? Yes. And then I can start to track it and hold myself accountable. So in that schematic of what I just described, it's like you have this idea or this area of friction or this struggle or this goal or this suffering. You bring it out of this foggy, vague territory and you place it right in front of you and in multiple places, and you face it, and then you expand upon it and you cultivate it and you work through it. You unwind that Nintendo 64 controller cord. And that's huge. So today I was feeling that. I was feeling a little tightness there. And normally I just kind of push on it and just like stretch it and then go through some loop of health anxiety and frustration and then kind of ignore it, and then eventually it goes away. And today I was like, okay, I'm going to actually do movement that I know I should do through the facet of wellness on diaphragmatic cruise, me and GPT worked together to develop an itinerary of my path to healing. It says to do this, I'm gonna do it. It says to do this, I'm gonna do it. And I did this workout where in the sauna I just laid down and put my legs in the air and just stretched like my hamstring area. Let me see if I can move this back. Okay, so I'm laying down and my legs are in the air like this, and I can just feel tightness here. So I'm stretching that. Obviously everything interconnects. So if you're stretching here, you're gonna relieve someone somewhere else. So I'm stretching. And then I just intuitively was like, I need to put my legs like way up. And so I went like this and just started stretching. And I noticed myself being like worried that the spa clerk would come in and see me looking silly because it was just like my towel. So it was honestly pretty funny looking. But I was just doing this, just stretching. And just slowly trying to find where I'm not being balanced or where I'm cutting corners and where I need to work on, and just kind of making an observation of everything. And I can feel my upper back kind of release a bit, lengthen a bit. I can feel myself lengthening and strengthening and relaxing. And then as I roll down, I just kind of like do one vertebrae at a time. And this is probably super sloppy posture, but it's hard for me. Breathing, keep breathing as you do it. You should get a really good stretch here. But it's rebuilding your core and balancing your core. And another workout that is on my diaphragmatic cruise facet in my wellness library is the 90-90. And so I'm laying down here. There's a 90 degree here from my back to my thighs. That's 90 degrees. And then 90 degrees from my thighs to my shins and calves. So it's like 90, 90. And so if you can sit like this and just start to connect to your body, to all the hinges. And sort of just rock the pelvic tilt up and down. And you'll be able to feel like tons of adhesion and resistance and like density in the spine that you thought was normal. But in reality, the spine should be very fluid and like flux. Like it should be able to like move and breathe and wiggle and lengthen. So you just kind of tilt around, and you could like move your legs around too to test different areas. But you'll see that as you do the 90-90, the psoas gets engaged. So if I push in, I can feel my psoas. And the core is sort of like stationed in a position where it's able to sort of stretch. You can hear my belly like grumble a bit, which is a really good sign. You can relax and just breathe into the belly. Just explore. And of course, the diaphragm, let's not forget about the primary word and what I'm working on. Like, how is the diaphragm? Can I breathe and lengthen and balance in a way that allows it to release a bit and empower itself? And any fascial adhesion, can I breathe or lengthen or strengthen something, balance something, relax something that allows it to release? Like, how can I leave this practice and this exploration a little bit more balanced, closer to my goal? And a lot of times this locks up, and this problem is created through stress, carrying trauma, weakened nervous system, fear state, and sitting, a lot of sitting, lack of core stability exercises, sitting and being stressed out and dealing with what life throws at you. It's going to add up to some level of dis-ease and tension, and that becomes chronic if you don't face it. So anyways, this is not cinematic. But I hope you find value in this in some way. And a lot of times when I'm dealing with things, whether it's health or business or mental health too, you feel like you're alone, and you feel like you're not sure what to do, and you feel like you're maybe crazy or lost or whatever you feel. And one route that people take when they don't feel good in their mind or their body or in business is they follow the societal guidelines, and that's not always the best way to go, especially if you want to be yourself. Society creates this uniform way of healing the mind and healing the body, and they create a uniform way of making money. And if you follow that, you're going to get the same results that others get. And we live in a society that's not very healthy mentally or physically. And we live in a society where the way people make money is not that ideal. And so our generation in this day and age, a lot of people are waking up to alternatives and technologies allowing us to create new societal norms. And so there's nothing wrong with doing what everyone's doing. Like, I'm posting on YouTube just like everyone else that is. But like, if I feel this feeling and I go to a physical therapist or go to a chiropractor or I go to a doctor, they might not send me down this route where I'm going to do what actually helps me. Like, when I was dealing with back pain for 5 years, I went to all the doctors. I got x-rays. I did all the things. I took I took the pain relievers. I did the chiropractor. I did the osteopath. I did all the things, and it didn't help. What actually helped was getting to the root of it intuitively and just being like a monkey, you know, like getting on the floor and doing things, and getting off the computer, and just like getting back into this space of naturalism and like self-awareness, and getting rid of things that aren't you or aren't serving you. That's like the ultimate medicine. I remember when I had acne as a teenager and I went to a dermatologist because I was embarrassed. I wanted to get rid of it, and I wanted the quick fix. And so I go to the dermatologist, and he's just like, oh yeah, let's get you on Accutane. And I was like, as I was walking out, he wrote me a prescription for Accutane, which is so intense. It's just like, I wouldn't recommend it. I said, oh, is there anything that I should or shouldn't be eating? And he was like, no. And this guy was like overweight, wasn't something I was trying to be by any means. But he was just like, are you crazy? Like eat all the things that society is telling us to eat. The skin issue is the fact that you're not taking Accutane. Like, that's just absolutely insane. So I always have a little bit of a hesitation towards like the societal guidelines, but I also have a lot of respect for modern amenities and medicine and innovation. So, but yeah, like the diaphragmatic cruise, going to most doctors, they're not going to know what to do. They're not going to tell you to do what we just did. So that's something to think about. But yeah, we feel alone, right? We feel like when I deal with like certain anxiety episodes or this like back pain journey or business, you know, money stress, money goals, pursuits, passions, we feel alone. And then we get online and people are just like, do this and do that and buy my course and then you'll know. But what really needs to change is your like getting back to your inner knowing and developing inner like self-awareness, which leads to self-actualization. And that journey will take you through a huge shift of what you thought you wanted and what you thought was normal, and open up the doorway to something that you would never want to go back from. Like, it's one of those moments, right? We all have those moments where we couldn't believe what we used to put up with, or we couldn't believe what we used to not do, or what we used to do. We just couldn't believe it. Like, now we would never even think about doing that or allowing that in our life, or not implementing that every day or whatever. It's one of those things. So, yeah. I hope this is helpful. I hope you've learned something that has helped you. And yeah, I encourage you to reach out if you have any questions. And if you download MasteryOS, you can place all of these projects and ideas in there. And if you can't afford it, you can email me and I can send you a coupon. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.